Okay, it is the Ottoman Impulse again, and they are going to spend their home card for 5 command points. They're going to spend 2 command points building a naval squadron in Coron, and they're going to spend their 3rd command point doing a naval move. So remember, a naval move allows every naval squadron to make 1 move. And so all these naval squadrons are going to move out into the Aegean Sea. Remember, we oriented them vertically to see if anyone wants to intercept. No one can, so they're fine. And also this squadron is going to move out into the Ionian Sea. See if anyone can intercept. No one can, so they're fine. So that's 3 CP. We're then going to spend 2 CP on doing a squadron, moving the squadron across a sea zone. Now, just to explain the rules on that, in order to move troops, I want to move these troops to Malta to try and take Malta, to siege it. In order to do that, you need to have a squadron in the sea zone that they are crossing. If the troops are crossing more than one sea zone, so say you wanted to move this troop from Erdene into Malta, you need to have naval squadrons in each sea zone that the guys are crossing. Okay, so all we need to move from Coron is a naval squadron in here because we have a port here. So it costs 1 CP to move out of port, and then it costs 1 CP to move into Malta. And they are going to be sieging Malta now. Remember, these stars, even though they're not keys, they're not square markers, the stars are still fortified spaces, and so they need to be sieged, even if there's no one in them. And again, like any other space that needs to be sieged, you have to wait until your next impulse before you can assault. Okay, that's the end of the Ottoman's Impulse. Okay, it's the Hapsburg's Impulse again. They're going to spend this card for 1 CP, and they're going to spend that command point assaulting Metz, which they sieged on an earlier turn. So Metz gets 1 dice for being the defender and 1 dice for having a man in their key. And the Hapsburgs have 5 men here, which gives them 2 dice for the attack plus 1 for their leader, Ferdinand. So they get 3 dice. So it's 2v3. We will roll for the Hapsburgs first. Whoa, that was a great roll. They got 2 hits. And we'll roll for Metz. 0 hits. So 2 hits is more than enough to destroy the 1 guy in Metz. So Metz is now gone. I'll just put him down so you can see. Metz is now gone. We go over to the home card of the Hapsburgs. We take another key off. Now notice that the Hapsburgs will next turn get 6 cards instead of 5, and they bump up another victory point. So we go over to the victory point track, move the Hapsburgs up 1, and we place their key Catholic side up in that square, and they now control Metz. That is the end of the Hapsburgs' turn. Okay, it is now the English turn, and they are going to spend this card here for 3 CP, and they're going to try and assault Scotland again. So Scotland gets 1 for being defender and 1 for having a dude in their key, so that's 2. England has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men, so they get 2 plus 1 for Henry, 3. So 2v3. We'll roll for England. They just need 1 hit, and they get it. They got a 5. So we roll for Scotland, which is controlled by France. Remember, 2 dice. Whoa, 2 hits. So 2 hits. So England loses 2. France, or Scotland, loses 1, and the key falls. Now, because the naval squadron was still in the port, when the key falls, and because a naval blockade has been established outside, they lose that naval squadron as well. So we take these men and we put them on the turn track as well as the naval squadron, and the French lose this key. So we go over to their home card and we place this key back on. So they're still going to get the same number of cards, but they've dropped from 14 to 12 victory points. So we go over to the victory marker track, move them down to the English, take a key from their card, and they've bumped up 2 victory points and an extra card next turn. And they place Catholic side up a key in Edinburgh. They have successfully taken Edinburgh. Now, if they had more CP to kill, they'd probably try and take control of these places too. But they've only got 2 command points left, and we want to deal with this foreign war that's been going on. So we're going to spend 1 CP replenishing the forces in Ireland so that they can roll more dice, and then we spend 1 CP fighting the foreign war. So the English get 4 for the men, 1 for the leader, that's 5 dice. And the Irish only get 2 because their French force was destroyed in the last turn. So we roll the 5 dice. Wonderful, lots and lots and lots of hits. 4 hits, that's more than enough to destroy the Irish forces, which were 2, but the Irish do roll. They got a hit as well. So the English lose this guy. Now, the foreign war is over, which means we can return these troops to any home space in England. So we're going to definitely move our guy back to London. We might move our guy back to Bristol. I think York is looking okay, so we might even move an extra guy to Calais, and we can even send Brandon to Calais as well, so we might do that. And we take this card, which was the foreign war card, we place it back in the deck. That can come up again. And that is the end of the English impulse. Okay, the French are a little upset about losing Edinburgh, but they never owned it to begin with, and they are focusing on Italy. So they're going to spend this card for 3 CP, and in their first CP they're going to move their renegade leader and all of their men out of Milan into Modena. For their second CP they're going to take political control of Modena, which is an unfortified space. And now, I should have said, sorry, when they moved into Modena, the Papacy, who are at war with France, have men adjacent, so they could choose to intercept if they want, but the French are a bit more stronger than them, so they're going to stay in their key for now. The French have 1 more CP, and so they are going to move into Florence and siege Florence and try and take it next turn. And that's the end of the French impulse. Okay, it's the Papacy's turn. They're a little worried about what the French are doing. They're going to play this card for the event, which allows you to place 2 mercenaries in any space that contains friendly land units. They are looking pretty weak in Rome, and if France takes Florence, they could next turn siege Rome, so they're going to add those 2 mercenaries. They're going to add them to Rome. That's the end of their impulse. Okay, it's the Protestants' impulse. They're going to spend this card for 2 CP, and they are going to move their New Testament translation 2 spaces, which means that they now have translated the New Testament into German. Now once you do that, you can take 6 Reformation attempt rolls in that language zone. You also can start beginning the full translation of the Bible down here, which gives you victory points if you do that. So the New Testament has been translated, so that means we get to take 6 Reformation attempts in Germany. So let's have a look at what we want to try and convert. Alright, we still want to try and take Trier if possible, because that is an electorate. Even though it's in unrest, it would be nice if we could take it. So that would be good. And I think, yes, I think we're going to try that. So we get 1 Protestant space plus 1 Protestant force, that's 2 dice, and the Catholics have 1 force adjacent to it, another a Catholic space, and another Catholic space there. So they get 3 dice. So 2v3, the Protestants roll first, and remember they win ties. Okay, so they got a 6, and because they win ties, that is an automatic conversion. So that's wonderful, we get to flip Trier. Remember, Trier is an electorate, so we take the force off the electorate display and we put that in. It's still in unrest, so that isn't going to count as a Protestant space until we remove the unrest. And the Protestants can't actually do that until they become a political force. So that is a shame, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so that's 1. They still have 5 more attempts. So they get a lot of attempts, which is really, really good. It has to be in the German language zone. So I think what we will try for now is, let's see if we can get some of these more northern spaces. Let's try for castle. So they get 1 plus 2 dice for the Protestants, and the Catholic get 1, 2, 3 dice because effort is Catholic as well. So 2v3 again, and the Protestants will roll 2, and it's a 6. Good rolling. So castle flips to Protestant. So that's very good. They are now going to try to take. They should try to take Cologne because it's an electorate. So count it up again. Protestants get 1, 2, and the Catholics get 1, 2. I wonder if we should try and convert. Let me zoom in here for you. I wonder if we should try and convert Munster first, because that will increase the odds for Cologne if we get it. So let's try that. So the Protestants get 1 for controlling castle, and the Catholics get 3. So unlikely, but we'll give it a go. Doesn't hurt to try. Okay, the Protestants. Oh, they roll 1. That's not going to work no matter what. Okay, Catholics roll 3. Yes, they lose. Alright, so that was a bit of a waste. Munster doesn't convert. Alright, let's try for Cologne. So 1, 2 versus 1, 2. So 2v2 for Cologne. Protestants roll first. 4. Probably get beaten. Papacy. 6. Okay, so that didn't work. So let's just see how many we've tried for now. We converted Trier, we converted Castle. We failed to convert these 2. So that is 4 conversion attempts so far. we get 2 left over. Okay, well, why don't we try to convert Regensburg? Because we'll get quite a few opportunities there. So we get 1, 2, 3, and the Catholics get 2. Okay, so Protestants roll first. They get 3 dice. Oh, that's bad rolling. The best was a 3. The Papacy roll 2 dice. Ah, their best was a 3 as well. Remember, Protestants win ties, so that flips, which is great. And for the last one, why don't we try and convert Salzburg? So they get 1, 2, 3, and they get 1, 2, 3. So 3v3, Protestants roll first. Oh dear, bad rolling. 3 is the best. Papacy roll 5. Okay, so that was a foul. So that is the 6 Reformation attempts that Germany took. How many were successful? Well, we converted Trier, but it's in unrest, so it doesn't count. We converted Kassel, and we converted Regensburg here. So we converted 3 more spaces to Protestantism. So we go over to our markers, to our track here, we move it up 1, 2, 3, and you'll notice that the Papacy go down a victory point, the Protestants go up. So we go over here and we put Protestants up to 3. The Papacy have fallen off, which is pretty bad. Let's just get it up 12 plus 4, and now on 16. Okay, that's the end of the Protestants' impulse. Okay, it's now the Ottomans' impulse again. They're going to spend this card for 3 CP, and they're going to spend their first CP assaulting Malta. Now, ordinarily, when you assault a fortified space, you halve the number of troops you have, and that's how many dice you get to roll an attack. But when a fortified space doesn't have any troops in it itself, you get to roll the number of dice that you have of men in there. So the Ottomans are going to roll 3 dice, and the Hapsburgs are going to roll 1 dice for being the defender. They don't have any men. Okay, let's see how they go. Okay, so that's a real shame. They didn't get any hits with their 3 dice. Now, even though the place is unoccupied, the attacker has to score at least 1 hit for the assault to be successful. Now, they can remain sieging them if they want. However, this is the Ottomans' last card, which is a real shame. So, even though they wanted to take Malta, they're not going to be able to this turn. So, yeah, that's a bit of a shame for the Ottomans. Okay, so they still have 2 CP left, and they're just going to spend that on building a regular troop in their capital in Istanbul. And that's the end of their impulse. Okay, the Habsburgs now have their impulse. They're going to play this card. It's a mandatory card, which means they must play it for the event, but they get the command points afterwards. Defender of the Faith, papal player makes 3 counter-Reformation attempts, targeting all language zones. The only place that the Reformation has happened so far is in Germany, so they'll definitely target Germany, and they get to try and reconvert 3 spaces back to Protestant. Okay, so let's see, what do they want to convert? I think it would be good for them to to try and convert castle back. Oh, sorry, let me just zoom in here. Oh, they should convert castle back because that's kind of opening up a corridor for the northwest. So they're going to roll for that. And I'll just pop back here for a second. They roll 1, 2, 3 dice. The Protestants roll 3 dice. So the Papacy, they get a 6. So the Protestants must get a 6 in order to stop. They don't. Okay, so Castle turns back. What else do they want? The reason I'm avoiding electorates is the Protestants get to roll a lot of dice for having forces in that space. So they're harder to convert, and it really bothers the Hapsburgs more than the Papacy that the electorates are being taken. We really just want to convert things back to Catholicism. Let's see, I think I will try and convert Regensburg back here, so 1, 2, and the Protestants get 3. So the Papacy will roll 2 dice. 4, that's not very good. Oh, that's alright. Protestants roll 3, 6. Okay, so no luck there. They get one more place that they can try and convert back. Maybe they'll try and convert somewhere in the north, like Magdeburg here. So the Protestants get 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, that's going to be very hard to convert back. Okay, maybe Leipzig. So the Protestants get 1, 2, 3. And the Catholics get 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the Papacy rolls first, 3 dice. 6, very good. The Protestants roll a 6, and the Protestants win in ties in conversion. So that was a failure. So the Papacy only got to convert 1. So we go over here, we move it back 1. That doesn't affect any victory points. Okay, so if you remember, it's actually the Hapsburgs' turn. They were just playing a mandatory card, and they now get to spend 2 CP. They're a little concerned at how powerful the Ottoman Navy is looking, so they're going to spend their 2 CP on building a naval fleet and placing it in Naples. They would beef up Malta, but you can't build forces while it's under siege. That's the end of the Hapsburg's impulse. Okay, the English are going to spend this card for 4 CP, and they're going to spend 3 of their CP to colonise. So they take a colony from their power card and they place it in the Crossing Atlantic box, and they have 1 extra CP left, and they're going to place a mercenary in York. That's the end of the turn. Okay, it's the French impulse. They are going to play the Schmal Celtic League. It's a mandatory event. This is the card that triggers the Protestants into becoming a political force. But you'll notice there are 2 conditions. It has to be turn 2, which it's not. Protestants have to control 12 or more spaces, which I think at the moment they don't anyway. So this doesn't come into effect now, which means the French are just going to spend 2 CP. And they are going to spend their 2 CP on, assaulting Florence. So let me just zoom out a little bit there. So just a reminder, Florence has 1 guy, French have 5, so they get 2 dice plus 1 for their leader, and Florence gets 2 dice for 1 for their guy and 1 for being the defender. Okay, so we roll. So roll France first. They get 3 dice. They get 1 hit, which means they'll take it. The independents roll 2 dice. Oh, they got 2 hits. So France got hurt by that, definitely. But France falls. We take another key off the French card, which means France bumps up to 14 victory points. I won't show you all this just to speed it up. And those troops now go into here. This is placing France in a very strong position in Italy. Alright, that was 1 CP. Now they have 1 more CP. And they're going to put another dude maybe in Bordeaux, which is here, just to strengthen that southern border against the Hapsburgs. That's the end of their turn. Okay, it's the Papacy Impulse. They're playing this mandatory card. They wanted to wait till the end of the turn to play it because it benefits the Ottomans and is bad for them, but they have to play it. Barbary Pirates. Algiers now becomes a space in play at an Ottoman square control marker. Let's come over to Algiers and have a look. This is how piracy begins. So the Ottomans add another control marker, which is very good for them, bumps them up another 2 victory points to 16, and it gives them an extra card. After that we add 2 Ottoman regulars to that space, and also 2 corsairs. Now, this is what an ordinary naval squadron looks like. For the Ottomans, if you flip it over, it's a corsair. And the benefit of corsairs is that they can conduct piracy. They're not as strong in naval battles, but they do allow the Ottomans to pirate, which we'll show next turn. Okay, so that is the event. But the Papacy also are going to spend the 2 CP now. And they're going to start St. Peter's construction. So they're going to spend 2 CP to help build St. Peter's. That is the end of their turn. Okay, it is the Protestants' last turn. They're going to spend 3 CP on helping to translate the full Bible now. They've already translated the New Testament, so they move 1, 2, 3. Once it gets up to spending 10 CP on translating the Bible, they get a victory point for that, and they also get to take 6 more Reformation attempts in Germany. And that's the end of the Protestants' turn. Okay, it's the Hapsburg's Impulse. So the Ottomans didn't have any more cards, so they passed. The Hapsburgs are going to pay their last card for 2 CP, and they are going to build another naval squadron in Naples. They're really building up their forces. The Ottomans are just getting stronger, and they're going to have to face them in piracy next turn, so they want to have a big squadron to fight them. That's the end of the Hapsburg's Impulse. Okay, the English didn't have any more cards, so they passed. It's the French turn, and the French are going to play their home card, Patron of the Arts. If Francis I is ruler, he is not captured or under siege, nope. Roll 1 dice. On a roll of 3, 4, 5 or 6 you gain 1 BP for the glory of Francis's chateau. But this roll is automatically successful if the French control Milan. Now we do control Milan, so what we do is we come over to the home card and we gain a BP for playing our home card for the event. And we move them up on the track. That's the end of their turn. Okay, so everyone has used up all their cards or passed, so it is now the winter phase. I'll just show you what this looks like for the Ottomans to save time. So the first thing we do is we return all naval units to their closest port. So Cologne is adjacent there, they can move them there. And Cologne is also adjacent to the other sea, so they're going to stack all their naval units into that space. leaders and land units need to return to a fortified space, so they cannot stay in an unfortified space. They don't control Malta, they failed at taking that, so they get to come back, and they can cross any sea zone in the winter phase. They're going to return to, maybe they should go to, they can't go to Cologne because it's not a fortified space. They're going to go back to Istanbul. The men up in Buda, now you can keep up to 4 men in one key, and what they're going to do is they're going to keep they're going to keep 3 men in, they're going to keep 2 men in Buda, and they're going to send 2 men back to Belgrade just to help consolidate it a bit. They're also going to send both of their leaders back to their capital. Okay, now the other thing that we do so we do that for every power. The other thing we do is we add 1 regular to every capital that is sort of free from unrest or hasn't been taken. And remember, the Hapsburgs have 2 capitals, so they add 1 to each of their capitals. And then the last thing that needs to be done is we flip all of our debaters back over to their uncommitted side, so each turn they can be used again for their bonuses. Luther's going to come back next turn again. He was excommunicated this turn, so we flip all them. And that is the winter phase. Obviously what I did for the Ottomans I need to do for everyone else as well. Okay, the final thing we do is the New World phase, where we resolve any explorations or conquests that happened. We can move the colonies that were established to their box because we don't need to remind ourselves that they happened. So the English and Spanish or Hapsburgs have colonies. But the Hapsburgs also have an exploration and conquest underway that they actually begin the game with, so they don't need to spend CP on that to start with. So we do the exploration first. Now, just as a reminder, just to explain how that works, we need to go over to their pool and draw from random 1 explorer counter. And they have a rating. Each explorer has a rating. The explorer for the Hapsburgs this turn is De Soto. He has an exploration rating of 2. So we roll 2 dice and we add that to our dice roll, that rating. Oh, that was very good. That's a 10 plus 2 is 12. Now we consult our exploration table and we're told 10 or more you get to choose from the options below. You can either get 1 victory point for discovering the Pacific Strait and attempt circumnavigation. You can get 2 victory points for discovering the Amazon River, or you can, if both of those things have been done, I guess, you can get any other victory point that's available. What's circumnavigation? Well, if you want to attempt circumnavigation, you roll again, and basically, if you roll a 10 or more, good things, really good things happen. If you roll 9 or less, kind of bad things happen. For the Hapsburgs, their guy is only worth 2. They do have better explorers, so I don't think we'll attempt to circumnavigation yet. Instead, we will take the 2 victory points for discovering the Amazon River. So what we do is we take our explorer and we put him on the Amazon River to show that that has now been discovered. And then we take our Amazon River 2 VP counter and we place that in the Hapsburg bonus victory points. And we move the Hapsburgs up another 2 victory points. That was very good for the Hapsburgs. Okay, so that's their exploration done. They also are attempting a conquest. So again, we come over to the Hapsburg pool, and here is we randomly select a conquistador, and Pizarro, that's a very good rating for conquest. So now Pizarro, we roll for him, and we want to see if he can conquer one of 3 places. Again, we roll 2 dice. Roll. Oh, very, very bad roll. 2. Okay, 2 plus 3 is 5. We consult the conquest table, and a 6 or less, the conquistador was killed by a native tribe. Oh dear. So Pizarro is, even though it's a good rating, very bad roll. He's now taken out of the game. And yeah, the Hapsburgs don't conquer anything this turn. And that is the end of the New World phase. Okay, so finally, in each turn we check to see if there has been a victory. And there hasn't. Victory is achieved when someone reaches 25 victory points, or they can get a domination victory if they are ahead by 5 victory points or more from the next player. So there's no victory, which means we go to turn 2. So this has been an explanation of turn 1 for the game Here I Stand.